Right now, 250 miles above your head, something the size of a football field is circling the Earth. It weighs 430 tons. For 25 years, humans have never once stopped living inside it. And in a few years, on purpose, we are going to drop it into the sea. Not lose it. Not crash it by accident. Drop it. NASA has already picked the spot. It has already hired the vehicle. It even knows roughly the date. This will be the largest object humanity has ever deliberately sent falling from space, and the place it is aimed at has a name almost no one knows. Once you learn what is waiting down there, you will never look at the open ocean the same way again. Start with the station itself, the International Space Station. Launched piece by piece since 1998, as big as a six-bedroom house with a gym, 430 tons of metal, wiring, and frozen experiments. It was never built to come home in one piece. There is no runway big enough, no parachute strong enough. So engineers always knew the ending. One day the lab would have to fall. The only question was where. And the answer they chose is the loneliest place on the entire planet. It is called Point Nemo. Nemo means no one in Latin. It sits in the South Pacific, and it holds a strange record. It is the spot on Earth farthest from any land in every direction. The nearest soil is more than 1,600 miles away. The closest humans to Point Nemo are usually not on a ship at all. They are astronauts, passing overhead on the very station we are about to sink. It is so remote that almost nothing lives in the water above it. And that is exactly why space agencies love it. Because Point Nemo is already a graveyard. Since 1971, agencies have steered nearly 300 dead spacecraft into this one patch of sea. Old satellites, cargo ships, even Russia's entire Mir space station in 2001. Sailors gave the region a nickname, the Spacecraft Cemetery. The ocean here is about 2.5 miles deep. Things fall in, sink into the dark, and are never touched again. So when NASA looked for somewhere to drop the biggest machine of all, the cemetery was the obvious choice. But this time, something is different. This time, people are starting to ask a question no one asked before. Is the ocean really an empty place to throw our trash? Here is how the fall will actually work. It is not a single plunge. Around early 2028, the station will begin to sink lower, dragged down by the thin edge of Earth's atmosphere. Then, in 2029, NASA will launch a special spacecraft built by SpaceX. Its name is the U.S. Deorbit Vehicle. It is a Dragon capsule on steroids, carrying 46 engines, and it costs roughly $1.5 billion. It will dock onto the station like a tugboat, and near the end of 2030 or the start of 2031, it will fire those engines and push. The station will drop into the atmosphere at 25 times the speed of sound. Most of it will burn. Glowing pieces will streak across the sky. But here is the part people forget. Not everything burns. The densest, heaviest chunks survive the fire, and they keep falling, all the way down to the seafloor. That is where a new voice enters the story. A group called the Ocean Foundation, based in Washington, D.C. Its president is a man named Mark Spalding, and he says this plan raises serious concerns that the space community has, in his words, not adequately grappled with. He is not against the station coming down. He understands the safety logic of aiming for the emptiest water on Earth. His worry is simpler and harder to answer. What actually happens to the seafloor where a football field-sized machine lands? And his honest reply is unsettling. We don't fully know. Think about what is really inside the station. Aluminum, titanium, steel trusses, glass, lithium batteries, cooling fluids, decades of science gear. When those denser parts reach the bottom, they don't vanish. They become a debris field on a deep sea floor that we have barely ever studied. We know more about the surface of the moon than about the mud at the bottom of Point Nemo. So when Spalding is asked what it will do to the creatures living down there, the most accurate answer is also the most uncomfortable one. That uncertainty, he says, is itself the problem. And now the story opens into something bigger, a legal gap. Spalding points to a law from 1972, the Space Liability Convention. Under it, if your space debris falls on another country and damages it, you must pay. No argument, no excuses, you pay. But there is a hole in that rule. It only protects land. It only protects nations. The open ocean belongs to no one, so no one is owed anything when it is hit. When agencies have a choice of where to drop their wreckage, they aim for the high seas. And by aiming there, they owe nothing. No cleanup, no repair, no bill. The remoteness that makes Point Nemo safe is the same remoteness that makes it legally invisible. But the ocean's distance from us, Spalding argues, should never be mistaken for a lack of value. There are even newer rules that might apply. A recent agreement called the High Seas Treaty asks countries to study the environmental impact before doing things that could harm the open sea, especially when the effects are unknown. And the ISS re-entry would be the single largest such event in history. So a fair question hangs in the air. If the biggest re-entry ever attempted is aimed straight at the high seas, shouldn't someone be required to study it first? Right now, the honest answer is no one is forced to. There is one more layer most people never consider. The damage might begin before anything even touches the water. As the station tears apart at the edge of space, it releases a cloud of vaporized metal high in the atmosphere. The largest re-entry in human history would inject the most material we have ever added this way. What that does to the air up there over years and decades has barely been studied at all. The trail of the falling station may leave a mark long before the wreckage hits the sea. So step back and look at the whole picture. A machine that carried human dreams for a quarter century, a symbol of nations cooperating above a divided world. And its planned ending is to be pushed deliberately into the one place on Earth where no law protects it and no one will see it land. We are not abandoning the station because we hate it. We are doing it because there is no better option and because the sea has always been the easiest place to make things disappear. But maybe that is the real lesson hiding in this story. For all of human history, the ocean has been our final dumping ground, the place too big to fill, too deep to harm, too far to matter. Point Nemo was chosen precisely because we believed nothing of value was there. The question this falling station forces us to ask is whether that belief was ever true. The most remote place on Earth is about to catch the heaviest thing we have ever dropped. And whether the ocean stays silent about it or finally makes us listen may say more about us than about the station we are letting go.